Hello again, my name is Mr. Hagar, and today we're going to go over some basic measuring tools and devices that you'll find in a shop. Now again, this is going to be basic review of some tools. For the advanced guys, this will be a little bit of a review, but we're going to go over it so everyone has a basic understanding of what tools you guys will find in a metal shop or in a fabrication shop. So to start off with, first of all, make sure you guys have your PPE, okay? So if you guys need safety glasses, you're working in the shop, make sure you go out, grab your safety glasses. Now for me, since I need to wear my glasses anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put on my regular glasses. One thing you guys won't need, gloves, okay? We're doing some basic measuring. We don't need to have gloves, so we'll just get rid of those. All right, we're going to start off with the basic 25-foot tape measure. So as you guys can read on a basic 25-foot tape measure here, we're going to go through understanding each individual line. Okay, so if we start out anywhere between 1 inch and say 5 inches, we're going to understand that every inch in between represents the number that we might be looking for. So as we go through, we're going to break down each one of these lines. And I'll also input in a picture so it's zoomed in. You guys will be able to see it a little bit clearer. Okay, so we will spend a little bit of time with the basic tape measure and go over that. Again, basic tape measure starts out, your big numbers are going to start out with 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 25 feet long in inches. So every major number is going to be 1 inch increments. Okay, in between those increments itself, then you have quarters, half, 3/4, and then back to your large number again as well. And then we'll break this down a little bit further. Keep in mind, you guys do want to pay attention to this because there will be a small test at the end to go over and answer some of the questions. Okay, again, we'll input a picture in so you guys can view this a little bit closer and understand the basic readings of a tape measure. One of the other things that we like to use inside is a square. So this basic standard square is adjustable. This one here is a foot long, so it's 12 inches. So you can adjust that anywhere from 1 inch or really down from a 1/4 inch to 12 inches in length. So when you guys need to make an adjustment and also need to measure, you guys can take this tool, loosen this up, move this around, and it will give you your basic measurements. Now, on this end here, you have the square end, so you have a true 90-degree angle. On the other end, you can also set this at a 45-degree angle. So you have a couple options here with setting up for angles and measurements. Also, this particular one has a bubble level. So if you guys are using it where you need to make sure that everything is completely square and level, this guy right here is going to make that happen. So you can do your measurements, make sure that it's square, and make sure that it is level as well. Okay, so few easy adjustments. These ones here are a lot easier to read by larger numbers, so your 1 inch, 2 inch. You can also go by your quarters, your halves, and 3/4. So basic square level, and you guys will learn a little bit more about this one. One of the other tools that we have here is a dial height gauge. If you guys are looking at the dial height gauge, the end of it here is a scratch bar. You can make your adjustments here. Once again, if you kind of look at this one, and I know it may be a little hard to see, and we'll try to input an image. This one also ranges in inches. From inches itself on this dial gauge that's down below, you can bring this in and dial it in exactly to the numbers that you need, and it can also be done in decimal form. Okay, so as this guy runs, we can actually take this, loosen these two slide bars, and this will adjust up and down. This guy is a dial height gauge, and what it does is it makes lines on your piece of metal at certain heights and distances. So you can take this and adjust it up and down, and bring it right into exact numbers that you may need. So if you're looking for 1 inch and 5/16, you can dial it right into the exact number. And again, we'll try to input an image and a picture in so you guys can see this a little bit better. Again, if you guys have any questions, please let us know. We'll link our email addresses down in the video so you guys can email us on those. One of the other tools that we would use is a micrometer set. Okay, these ones here, I'm not going to go over this too much, okay, but these are tools that are readily used with doing lathe work, and most of these would be done within decimal form. Some are done in fraction form, but a lot of these are done in a decimal form, so you guys can get the numbers quite specific for what you're looking for. So a lot of machine shops use these, and what they look for is something to say it has a range between 2,000s and 5,000s, and you have to be really specific on what you're milling down to or turning down to have those numbers. A little bit more specific, quite a bit more advanced, but if you guys would like to learn about this, please let me know and we can go over more. One of our other options we have is a large square. Now these large squares are nice to have, say if you're building a tabletop, you're building framework so you can build a table. We're going to be building a trailer for Chef Murphy's class to do a smoker on, and this is one of the tools that would be used on that to make sure that the trailer frame is actually 100% square before it is fully welded. We are talking about looking at doing a video on squaring up framework, tacking it together, so you guys will get a little bit more use out of this. Again, kind of hard to see, but if you guys look at here, it does indicate your numbers between 1 inch all the way down. This one looks like 23.5 inches. So you can use your measurements if you need to make markings. Say if you're setting up in construction, you got a stud wall you need to have square, and you have to have it set up for every 18 inches. This would be one of the tools that maybe you would use. So you know it's nice and square, plus you're able to make your next mark and set that up. So you got your outside section for your square. If you're building, say, the end of a table, you can use the inside section to square up a table. So we actually got a small piece of metal right here. So if I want to, say, build this into a table and wanted to square it up, you guys can see on the end, it's not 100% square. We'd need to remark this and set it up and square it out. So that's what this would be used for on the inside square. Okay. One of our other small little devices, and this works for your automotive section. So this is just a basic small spark plug gap. What this tool does here is it gives you ranges from 20 thousandths all the way to 100 thousandths for setting a spark plug gap. So not every measurement, not every tool that you guys will come across and see is based just in a metal shop or a fab shop. If you guys are looking at doing automotive or hydraulics or anything like that, there's other specific tools that would be used for those industries. Okay. I happen to have a spark plug gap here, and these guys again are used just to gap your spark plugs to make sure you have the correct settings. So again, if you guys have any questions or anything that you'd like us to go over a little bit further, please let us know. Our email will be in the video, and you guys can email us on that, and we'll go over those a little bit more. Again, I'd like to enhance that if you guys are doing measuring, we have a couple of things to mark them. We have a soapstone piece here, and these guys are great. But if you look at the soapstone itself, it's really wide, it's really thick. The best way to do is actually shave a little bit of the end down so you have more of a point on one end of it. So when you go to make your markings and say you go to measure something out and you want to make your mark on the table, you have a little bit smaller of a marking. Versus if you were just to take it and run a bigger mark, it's nice and wide. Okay, So something you want to look at, these guys are great to use, but make sure if you're using a soapstone that you grind down the edge a little bit. That way you can see your markings a little bit smaller. It's a little bit more precise, so you know where your angles and your measurements are going to go at. Okay? Especially if you're cutting this down. If you're going to make a cut, you want to make sure that you also put in the size of the blade that you're using. So you want to give the tolerance of the blade. So if you make a mark at 1 inch and you cut at 1 inch on a, let's say on your horizontal bandsaw, you go to put that piece in and you go to recheck it, it's going to be a little bit less than 1 inch because of the blade width on the horizontal bandsaw. So you want to make sure that you guys check that and accommodate for the width of a bandsaw blade or whatever blade that you're using for cutting, whether it's a grinding cutoff wheel or the angle grinders. If you guys are doing a little bit of grinding, you want to make sure that you leave tolerance for those blade widths. Okay, if you guys are going to use, say, a standard Sharpie to make your marks, again, you guys can get these in a fine point and a wide. If you do, my suggestion is do not press firmly down when you make your mark. Even on a fine point, they will eventually start getting wider as they wear down. So keep in mind, the wider your marks are, it might take your numbers and change those anywhere from a 1/16, from a 1/16 of an inch on an average is going to make quite a bit of a difference. So watch how you're marking your stuff. The finer it is, the better and more precise that you will be. Again, I want to suggest that you guys are making sure you're wearing your safety glasses, even with some basic measuring, okay? If you guys are in a shop, say the wind comes blowing through and dust particles get blown into your eyes, you want to make sure you got safety glasses on to prevent as much of that as possible, okay? So even if you're measuring, got your basic tape measure, got your dial height gauge, adjustable square, you got your framing square that we can use, and then more advanced, you guys will have these images as well for using on lathe, okay? So if you guys have any questions, would like to go over anything a little bit further, please let us know and we'll be happy to do so. Thank you very much. I hope you guys are getting the information, and we're going to keep moving forward the best we can to keep you guys informed on what's going on here at North Bend High School.